So here we have a copy of the original no edit worksheet, and I'm going to type in some information beginning in cell A29, and you should follow along with me. And so now we have some of that information in here. And we're going to see an example of how days are used in Excel. But before we begin some of the functions here, let's first talk about the date format in Excel. Here we see an example of some dates. And in Excel, dates are stored as a numeric or serial number beginning with January 1st, 1900. So the first day of Excel's calendar is January 1st, 1900. Each of these serial numbers are stored as a date, and if we change them to a date format, we can see that. So those particular dates corresponded with days in 2007. If I were to undo that change, and type in a date with a serial number of 1, change it to a short date, you'll see that that number 1 corresponds with January 1st of 1900. And so we're going to type in some arbitrary date here, and for example, I may use April 14th, 2017. And we're going to use the today function in Excel. And anytime we begin a function, we have to start off with the equal sign. And the today function is simply today with open and close parentheses. So if we were to hit enter here, you would see that it would give today's date. And this video happens to be made on July 22nd of 2020. There's also a now function in Excel, and that's going to introduce a time component to that date as well. So if we were to type in equal sign and then begin the function now, what you will see is it includes a time component of 11:03. So in this case, I'm working on this video July 22nd, 2020, 11:03 a.m. And my apologies to those of you who may be watching an extremely old video. We can also use additional functions in Excel, and there are functions for year, month, and date. If we want to extract the year, month, and day from this particular date, we could. Those functions are pretty straightforward. The year, for example, is simply going to give the value of the year for this particular cell, 2017. Month and date will perform similar functions. And so here you see that we've extracted the year, month, and date. And so we might use this if we wanted to create additional columns from a date that was pre-populated in Excel, and we wanted to sort by those year, months, and dates. So for example, if we had the month all in column C, for example, we could sort by column C in months and find all the entries that are related to the 4th month. There's also a way for us to calculate the number of days in between two dates, and that simply uses the days function. And so here you'll see that it returns the number of days between two dates. It has an end date and a start date. Our ending date, in this case, is going to use today's date. And our start date is going to be when they open the account. And we'll see in between those two dates, it's been 1,195 days. We can also look at the number of years since, but we can use the functions in Excel in order to calculate this number of years. And so in this case, I'm going to use the years function, and I want to know the difference between the year from when today is and the year of when we opened the account. And so you'll see here that we're subtracting the year from today between the year from when we opened the account. and that's been 3 years. And you'll notice now that if we were to go to change one of these dates, so for example, if I were to change this to June of 2018, you'll notice that all of the information updates. We can also use the date function in Excel in order to create a composite date. So for example, if you had a form that customers were to fill in information online, and if that information were to populate into a spreadsheet, you could simply use the information they typed in or selected in order to create a date. So here we have an example month, and we're going to choose maybe August 4th of 2023. And we can use the date function in order to combine these dates. Here you'll notice that the date function requires a year, month, and day. And we'll see that that's August 4th, 2023. So that's a quick overview of some of the date features in Excel.